Well, welcome everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Nicholas Ferzini, or Nick. I am a ag marketing specialist here at the New Mexico Department of Agriculture in the Marketing and Development Division. Today we're going to be talking about the New Mexico Local Meat Processing Grant. Pull up the PowerPoint here. I will be sharing this later on too if you guys want to come back and refer to it. Just for some housekeeping, if you guys can, please keep your microphones on mute. I will have two different times throughout the webinar where I'll open up the floor. Alrighty, so we're calling this the LMPG, the New Mexico Local Meat Processing Grant. So just to tell you guys about the webinar, we're going to go over the overview and the timeline of the grant, the website on where to find all your information about the grant, the request for applications. I'm going to do a pause, open it up for questions. And again, during this webinar, during the question sessions, please feel free to ask questions, or we can talk about it later on too. I'll be available. I'll post my contact information. After the RFA questions, we're going to go to the application instructions. That's a typo on the bottom there, but there'll be final questions. I'll open it up at the end. You guys, we can talk about the application. All right. So the New Mexico Local Meat Processing Grant, LMPG. So this is a competitive grant program. It's designed to assist meat processors in the state of New Mexico by providing funding for byproduct disposal and related waste management systems, as well as initiatives to increase production capacity, enhance regulatory compliance, strengthen supply chains, and promote value-added processing. Approximately $3 million will be available under the LMPG grant program pursuant to a one-time appropriation to the New Mexico Department of Agriculture during the 2025 state legislative session. Award ranges are flexible to support a wide range of activities related to byproduct disposal and waste systems that increase and diversify processing capacity, including equipment, technology purchases, and building facility upgrades. Grant funds will be non-reoccurring and must be used before July of 2029. So just a quick timeline of this grant. It's real short here. That's why we're meeting now. The application window is going to start on July 1 and it's going to end on July 31st. The reason behind this is to allow those who are awarded through this grant to have more time for their projects. So awardees should be notified the week of August 18th, and your project window should be end of August of 2025 through July of 2029. It actually needs to be before July 2029. It's when our fiscal year ends and begins. So this is the website link. Everything will be posted too, so you guys should be able to access this. So if you guys forget to write it down, no worries. When you click on that link, it's going to bring you to a page that looks something like this. So this page is going to contain the grant overview, application instructions, requirements for the grant, funding considerations, the request for application, and there will be a template in there for letters of support. All right, let's go ahead and look at the request for applications. Okay, let's talk about eligibility here. So eligible applicants are going to be those engaged in meat processing businesses and affiliated service industries engaged in animal slaughter, value-added, rendering, and carcass and/or byproduct disposal, including composting. Proposals must demonstrate improvements to the state's meat value chain to achieve compliance with state and federal regulations related to disposal of byproducts. Applicant businesses and public authorities must be physically located within the geographical borders of the state of New Mexico. Meat processing entities that are exclusively for non-commercial use will be considered ineligible. So let's talk about the eligible entities a little bit more. I'll scroll down. So this is going to be in-state processing businesses that are currently engaged in livestock slaughter and processing under it's USDA FSIS, just spelled out, or in future state inspection through the New Mexico Livestock Board, as well as meat processing businesses classified as custom exempt at the time of application and demonstrate future plans to obtain and federal and or state grant of inspection. Preference will be given to those who are federally inspected and or have plans to become state inspected. Also eligible is in-state processing businesses engaged in value-add processing of animal byproduct, whether that's edible or non-edible waste, into alternative products. Also, as mentioned, the in-state public waste authorities and transport providers that legally dispose of meat processing byproduct waste will be eligible. We do require a letter of support from at least one meat processing business in New Mexico for those folks. So let's talk about the purpose of the grant. So the purpose is to support projects eligible through equipment purchases and installation, facility equipment upgrades, minor alterations, renovation, capacity expansion connected to the proper removal, disposal, or further processing of byproduct waste, including composting and wastewater return systems to meet federal and state regulations. Again, this is to strengthen our meat supply chain in the state of New Mexico, increase capacity and promote more competition in the sector in the future. This is also to integrate new meat processing technologies to improve supply chain efficiency, food safety, and successfully achieve regulatory compliance with federal, state, and local regulatory standards. Let's talk about what is eligible for you guys to apply for. So there's the design, engineering, construction, and related consultation services necessary to facilitate improvements associated with byproduct disposal and removal. And this is included, but not limited to, wastewater and composting as well. Infrastructure and equipment required for the proper byproduct removal and disposal, including, but not limited to, wastewater and composting. Also the storage and processing of byproducts for value-add items. An example of this could be if you need to hold your byproduct in a freezer, you guys could have a particular freezer for byproduct. I'm not going to read through every single project example here, but I do encourage you guys to read through this RFA a few times. Again, also, you can always ask me questions. Now let's talk about ineligible expenses, because this is really important. So again, the reason why this grant came about was because there are still meat processors that are dealing with issues, whether that's in this state or from their local governments, with achieving regulatory compliance. There's also issues. Last year, there was a company in Albuquerque that used to pick up byproduct, and they ceased that operation, and now there's nobody doing that in the Bernalillo County, as far as I'm aware. So this is to hopefully promote somebody to either start that back up, or for you guys to figure out an alternate way to dispose of your byproducts properly. So typical routine maintenance and repair of your buildings and operation facilities, that's not going to be eligible. This is again to achieve becoming in compliance with regulatory and expand your processing capacity, not just buy something just because it'd be really helpful. Purchasing land, building facilities, can't do that. We can't reimburse those expenses. Just licensed motor vehicles, we can't buy you a truck. I'm sorry. However, if there's amendments or modifications to licensed motor vehicles that could be proven for the strict purpose of byproduct disposal and transport, such as like dump beds, trailer hitches, lift gates. That could be considered eligible. If you have questions on that, just call me. You can't pay staff through this. You can't hire, well, you can hire a grant writer to write this grant for you, but you can't, any like the, what you get in the grant, or if you're going to pay the grant writer, you can't apply for those expenses here. So expenses that have been or will be reimbursed under any federal, state, or local government funding is ineligible. Costs that have been or will be reimbursed by a third party, activities that have already been funded or is currently funded by any other state and federal award program. Again, we talked about general purpose equipment, costs associated with research and development. Of course, just to cover basis here, any activities deemed illegal or non-compliant with applicable federal, state, and local standards and regulations, and expenses incurred outside of the grant term. This means if you guys have already bought some equipment for this issue, I'm sorry, we can't reimburse expenses for that. So this is going to be for going forward. Let's see here. We'll go over the proposal requirements real quick. I'll just talk high level. So what's going to be required is you guys need to provide a project summary. This is just really quick, 250 words max. This is just a big overview. What is your project about? And then we do ask for a little bit more detail and a work plan. And so this is kind of like a timeline format, talking about what you guys are trying to achieve. This is going to be 5,000 characters max. There's going to be tables for your budget. There's an overall budget, and there's going to be categorical budgets within your proposal. They all need to add up. There should be a function in there for you guys. When you guys type it in, it should add it for you. But please double check your numbers and make sure everything's good across the board. That way it doesn't confuse the evaluation committee when we're going over proposals. See, an objectives timeline, an impact statement, and supporting documentation. I do encourage everybody to look at this before the application window and start gathering quotes and having those ready in hand, because sometimes those quotes can take a while to get from folks and have all the information that we need. And also, just I've seen this in other grants, like a handwritten quote just on a piece of paper, it's likely not going to work. So make sure you guys have, you know, the business name, who it's from, and everything spelled out really well. I won't waste your guys' time today on definitions. If you guys are interested, please go back and look at the RFA and go through every single one of these. So how your proposals are going to be graded here, 25% on experience and capacity, 25% on the project impact, 40% on operating approach, method of performance, and then this one's really big here, 5%. So if you can demonstrate that you will be in the future, when it's available, seeking state inspection, you will be given preference from the evaluation committee. We also need references. So 3 references would be great from anybody, whether that's customers. Again, talking about if you're a disposal site, we do need a reference letter from a local meat processing business that you will be working with. Other requirements, so you're going to have to be a vendor through New Mexico State University's procurement system in order to receive grant funds. Just so we're clear, grant funds are on a reimbursement basis only. We cannot provide any funding up front. So you must agree to follow all state and federal guidelines and regulations related to licensing, inspection, and insurance relevant to the products and your markets. Grantees will be required to report progress and outcomes when requesting reimbursement from NMDA, as well as at the end of the grant term before final reimbursement can be approved. For this grant, there will be monthly invoicing, even if you didn't incur any expenses. It's just to help us stay organized and help you stay organized throughout the grant. Because when we do quarterly and we ask you to go back every single quarter and provide all this, it's going to take a lot of time on your guys' part, and it's going to be a headache for us to organize that. This kind of talks about the request for reimbursement process and kind of dives into that a little bit further. Again, I invite you guys to go look at this and read it a few times on the website. We will talk about the instructions to apply here shortly. And again, just to highlight, you can start applying on July 1st. The application window is closed on July 31st. We will notify you if your application has been awarded August 18th or that week, and your project completion date needs to be no later than June 30th of 2029. Okay, let's go back to PowerPoint. Does anybody have any questions right now about the RFA? And please, if you will, either raise your hand or write something in the chat. Lucas, go ahead.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, so just to introduce myself, Lucas Salazar. I'm the project manager of the Matanza project, which is a project that's kind of being resurrected, and that's relating to my question here. So we operated as a USDA inspected establishment starting in 2012, and I'm not gonna be able to quote a year, roughly till 2019. I think that was maybe the last year that it did operations. But the organization is still the same. We have that institutional history and memory, but now we're expanding quite significantly on a new site, but still in the county. And because of this, I'm wondering if we're eligible. Like, do we have to be the going concern at the time, or because we have the history, we have inspection, absolutely the assumption is we're going to actually hit the ground running with inspection. We're not planning to be a custom plant first and then grow into that. And my background is in 15 years of managing a USDA inspected facility. Do you think we could come into any problem with eligibility?
It definitely raises a question. So are you guys currently processing right now or no?
Not.
So you're not. I would say within this grant period, are you guys planning on processing?
It wouldn't be ready yet.
By the end of the grant by 2029?
Yes.
Okay.
Certainly by the end. Okay. Yeah. Certainly. Yeah. Not by the end of this July, but yes, by the end of the grant period. Absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. No, thank you. That clears things up. Yeah. I'd say you guys would be eligible to apply for this as long as you could demonstrate that. I know, and I've heard about your guys' project quite a few times, the Mobile Matanza, and so as long as you guys are definitely working towards that to get to start processing here soon, you should be eligible.
Okay, thank you for that.
Any other questions regarding the RFA at the moment? And like I said, you guys don't have to speak out here. Feel free to call me, email me any other time. Alrighty, I'm going to move forward then and talk about how you guys can apply for this. All right. So the grant platform that we use to manage all of our applications in our grant is called Submittable. So step one, you guys are going to need to create a profile within Submittable. So you're going to see the sign in button up top when you go to that web page. The next page is going to look like this. Make sure you guys click Submittable. And that's where you'll go ahead and create an account. My suggestion is do this now, or as soon as possible. That way, come day one, you guys can hit the ground running on your application to apply. So then the grant platform is going to be through this website, and this is all located on the website, just as a reminder. And it's going to look something like this. And it's not available at the moment, but starting July 1, it will be. You're going to scroll down and you're going to see this, and it's going to say New Mexico Local Meat Processing Grant, LMPG, and you're going to click Submit, and that's going to pop up your application. There is an opportunity to save a draft. If you guys want to start working on your applications now, I recommend having a Word document, and that way, whenever you're ready to start your application, you can just copy, paste right into the grant. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to give you a preview of that application here. Okay, so all your information's up top. If your physical contact's different than your project contact, project title, your timeline. Just to point out, here in gray underneath each box that I just highlighted, these are all instructions. Please read those as you're filling in these different windows here. The objectives and timeline format, impact statement, describing the impact on the business, the community, and the environment. This is where you put if you're being funded by any other federal or state grant programs. This is where you upload your letters of support. This is those outcomes and measures that I talked about. So again, please, this helps us stay organized and report numbers on the grant. So if you guys are purchasing equipment, for example, click this box, type in the number of units that are being purchased. This is your budget summary. Again, as I mentioned, please make sure everything adds up and the funds requested here with the below tables. And then under each category here, there's going to be a justification table. Please make sure you number everything and then it lines up correctly. And then there's an example below here on how you guys can write your justifications. This really helps the evaluation committee understand what you're applying for and why. Supplies. So this is going to be anything that's less than $5,000 per unit is supplies. Anything more is equipment. Construction. Contractual or consultant. Please make sure that you're abiding by your procurement standards, or if you don't have a contractual or construction budget, you can just click NA. This is required, so make sure you click that before you submit. And then here's another section. If you're not sure if it's going to belong in any of the other sections, you can call me if you're unsure, but if it just doesn't seem to fit somewhere else, please put that in other. And then at the bottom here, this is where you're going to upload your quotes, any like construction plans or documentations that are going to support what you're applying for in detail. At the bottom here, make sure you click all of these attestations. And then at the bottom here, let's say you're working on this proposal and you need to go back and change something, or we want to work on it tomorrow, you can click Save Draft and it'll save it for you. I do recommend, just in case though, having, like I said, a Word doc, something where you can type, copy, paste, just in case something goes haywire. But as long as you hit that Save Draft, you should be good to go. All right, let's see. That wraps up what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and I'll open up the remainder of our time here for questions.
Hey, Nick, on the federal or state grant programs, do you want that, is that just on this project? Or are you wanting if the plant has any grant that they're currently under?
Yeah, any grant you're currently receiving, if you can just put that in there,
Okay,
we'd
so
appreciate
so
that.
it doesn't have to, even if it's under, a different
Right,
project? Okay,
right, exactly. We just want to see if you guys are being funded by something else, and it's also to make sure that those project funds aren't being duplicated.
okay.
I do want to throw in here, if you guys haven't heard about the New Mexico State University Biz Sprint for meat processors, highly encourage you guys to join. I can provide a link for that. Let me look it up real quick, and I will put it in the chat. And then, is there a sweet spot amount the grant is looking to award? No, there isn't, Lucas. There's approximately up to $3 million. If we don't use that, there's potential for another RFA to come out between now and 2029. I wouldn't say, shoot low, but at the same time, I wouldn't say apply for something that's, $2.8 million, something like that. That would be kind of hard to get. So I would say you use your best judgment, make sure it's going to accomplish what you guys are needing for byproduct disposal. Yeah, it's hard to say exactly how much to shoot for. Can the grant be used to take over existing facilities that may be shut down, or can it also be used for a brand new venture? I don't think so. In our ineligible expenses, we'd said purchasing land, buildings, or facilities, or any interest therein. This grant wouldn't be able to cover that. However, if you purchase the building and let's say you're going to install some like a new wastewater system, or rip out the old wastewater system and put a new one in, that's probably something that could be eligible. But to acquire the building itself, you wouldn't be able to apply for those funds in here. I hope that answers your question. Okay. With that, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Again, please feel free to call me any point in time, email. Happy to talk about this with you, and look forward to seeing everybody's proposals. Thank you for your time today, and we'll talk to you guys soon.